That peeps voxel vagrant here, and I'm going to go through a very quick tutorial in Unreal Engine on how to create a little mega assembly of assets, which is like a Lego piece that you can move around in another project. So let's say you wanted to take assets from this beautiful sci-fi Kit Bash Volume 2 into another project, as I do at the moment. And but what you want is you want something like this, which is going to be just this little Lego piece, which is highly modular, and you can just move it around your other project, and for the purposes of, like, obviously game development or setting up shots for animation. But like what I use Unreal Engine for is quite often creating backgrounds for artwork. Yeah, so for whatever the purpose is, and however you're using this program, what you want is this neat, tidy little Lego chunk asset that you can drag around and duplicate. Now, this is one that I had produced earlier, imagining that this is like a slanted wall that could go around the outskirts of a level. But there's one piece missing that I've noticed sort of further down the wall, and it's this really nice little set of grates here. And what would be nice about that is it creates this like really obvious "the floor goes here" point for the asset. So if I open this up, like there's a few different ways you could use this. You could probably use this over a road, and like cars could go under it. But just having that little grate along there, I know that I'm using it along a ground plane, and I want to also indicate to any other artists who are using this that, hey, by the way, here's where your ground plane line is. It just so happens that some of these assets are kind of extended down a little bit, and you can just sort of ignore that part. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to redo that particular assembly, and it gives me a chance to show you how to create a mini assembly at the same time. Now, the idea of a mini assembly is that all of the assets that make up this chunk of wall become the one asset, as I showed you here. So it becomes one asset, so it's all merged together. But instead of having a bunch of different assets merged together, that like so if I go over here, that each have different materials, and then we've got all their materials and all their textures, and we got to worry about all that crap. What we want is just down here in my content browser, where we've got one material, which is the different materials of all those different assets stitched together. And you can see that if I open up the texture asset here, you can see the different textures for each of the different assets within that mini assembly have all been atlased and stitched together. And that's true for our normal map, for our metalness, roughness map, etc. So this is the ideal. The ideal is that your mini assembly is a standalone, assembled little Lego piece with a combined material, which is, itself runs pretty quick and it's highly optimized, and all the pieces have been assembled into this little texture atlas. The awesome thing is that Unreal does this for you. It's actually really easy if you know where you're going and what you're clicking on. So I'll just take you through that right now. It's so nice, the merge asset tool. Like, it's just so good. Okay, so first of all, as I said, I want to bring some of these down. Now, I could actually just maybe combine what we're looking at here into one asset, but the only problem with that is if you select these top two pieces up here, you see they extend beyond the edge of that asset a bit. Let's just see if that's the same thing over here. Well, it does as well. Okay, so we just want to make sure that those pieces aren't included, because if we want this to be properly modular, then you want basically to have one piece that you can see that if I duplicated this, I would just have the rightmost beam sitting on this edge, and you can see how they would, you could duplicate it in a line and have sort of like a seamless construct. That's sort of your ideal for creating a modular piece. So I could actually potentially just build a modular piece from the panels that are over here, and choose to include some things and not include some things. So let's try it. Let's start this out. So I'll just grab my grates because I know I'm gonna want them. We're definitely gonna want them. Now, do I also want to grab those little lights? Because I can. There is the ability to grab emissive as well, but let's just grab the panels for now, and we'll grab the beams, and we'll just see what it turns out. Make sure that you're picking up everything that you want to pick up. I'm holding down shift, of course, to grab multiple pieces. Just trying to kind of be careful not to grab anything that I don't want. Pretty sure I didn't want that bit. No, I didn't. Okay, cool. Just to double check that I've got everything that I want and I'm not missing something, I'll generally just sort of hide them and go, okay, cool. Is there any obvious structural pieces that should have been in that selection that are not in that selection? And it looks like we're okay. So we're going to unhide that. And now we do the asset magic. This is my favorite part. Okay. So with those assemblies selected, or with all those pieces selected, I'm going to right click on that in the UI space. And I'm going to just scroll on down to merge actors. And this is going to open up the merge actors menu with all of our little pieces selected, saying, hey, you're about to combine all these pieces. At the moment, we're just on harvest geometry from selected actors and merge, grouping them by materials. We've got a couple of different options available for us in the other nodes for just combining meshes, but we're going to sit in the very first panel here. Nodes, panels, panel, definitely panel. Okay, so at the moment, I've got all these meshes selected, but if this was actually, sorry, I'm going to make this look like what you have. If you've opened this for the first time, you've got all these meshes selected, but your material settings, where it says merge materials, will be off. So what we're going to do is just under mesh settings here, I'm going to make sure that under LOD, so level of detail, so LOD selection type is changed to use a specific LOD level. Like specifically, that's LOD level 0. It's like your base default LOD. It's the true asset. It's the proper asset. So set LOD selection type to use specific LOD level. Specific LOD is 0. And then I'm scrolling down. And when I've got that setting turned on, I now have, like, this would open up. And yours would look a little bit different. So yours probably says texture size would be 1024 by 1024, and then all these maps would be turned off. So I've obviously turned this all on. I'll just walk you through what I turned on. So first of all, merge materials is turned on. And second of all, I've changed the texture size to 2048 by 2048. Now that is dependent on how far it's going to be from the camera. So these slanted walls, I envision them, like I envision you could run right up to them. And like it's on all the outskirts of a playable level, and it's basically going to occlude your area of play from the city behind it, and it means that we don't have to like do people and cars and trees and all that business, which is going to reduce frame rate, because we want that frame rate to go to gameplay. So having, building some interesting wall structure around the area of play, both looks cool because this is meant to be a bit of a battle royale, separate you from society kind of business anyways, and B, just again occludes that ground plane, which harvests us processing power. And if you're an artist doing this, same thing for rendering for animation and film. It just means you're not rendering a lot of stuff behind it, which means your renders go faster. And if you're like a digital artist or illustration artist, again, it looks really cool, and you don't have to sit there and draw like little people in cars and stuff. So anyways, further an asset is from camera, the lower the texture size should be. This is going to be pretty close to camera, but it's also not a hero asset. It's not like a main character. So I'm just giving it a 2K map. I want to make sure that I'm grabbing any normal maps. So I've turned normal map on. Metalness maps, roughness maps, emissive maps. So if there's anything that glows. I'm not doing any transparencies on this or anything. So I'm not worrying about opacity in a map, which would be a translucent material, or opacity mask map, which would be a masked material. This is just a straight up opaque material. If none of that means anything to you, I'd love to cover that in another video, so just drop a comment or question or something and let me know what you want me to cover again at some point. Be happy to do any number of these little things. The last one I want to turn on is the ambient occlusion map, so I want to grab up any AO that it happens to have. All right, everything else I'm leaving default. Yep, all my things turned on correct. I'm gonna go merge actors, and this is going to give me an opportunity to save this wherever it is I'm choosing to save this. And in this particular case, I've got my City Punk folder, and I'm saving this in. I'm just gonna save over my FG slanted wall 1. So that's foreground, wall slanted, number 1. And it's really a good idea to keep all your names short for Unreal. Unreal likes short names, so don't do proper spelling for all those full, like foreground spelled completely, wall slanted slightly at an angle, number 1. Not very short name. Truncate, that isn't it? Yep, cool. It's merging actors, doing its thing. Boop, 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 boop. And now, if I open this up, you will see I've got this tidy little asset that I can start duplicating around. But I can also easily create some variations on this. And also, you see, because we had the different maps as well, we still got our sort of shiny metalness to this. It's still got a slight reflectivity. Like you can see it reflecting the HDRI map there. So it's got everything that I still wanted to bring into my level with me. But the only assets I'm taking is what we're looking at right here. We're just taking that asset. We're just taking that material. We're just taking that textures. Nothing else. There's nothing from any other asset packs are coming over. It's just these guys in the folder. I want them to be in the other project. So no more, crap from asset packs in your project, or having a bunch of other stuff you don't need, or you bring an asset across and it like sits between 5 different folders, none of which you don't know what's where. Nah, tidy, one folder. If you're pedantic and OCD like me, this is important business. Okay, so let's create a couple of alternate variations on this particular theme. In fact, what we might do... Yep, cool. Okay, so what we might do is we'll do one that just includes these little dudes. Our little balls. In fact, we might do one that includes maybe just one ball and this cool little wire guy. This little wire bit, which is really, really nifty, quite lovely. Lovely little bit of extraneous wires there. And let's export this out. So we'll do another merge actors. It keeps the settings, which is great, so it's all the same settings. And again, go into the same folder. And we'll just call that 1B. It's a variation on number 1. It's not a new section of wall. It's just a variation on section of wall. So 1B, save. Cool, and let's just check that one out, just make sure that it all came through okay. Yep, there's our little guy. There's our cool little bits of wire and stuff. And let's just save all of that to make sure that it's all gonna be with us forever. And another really quick way to, so another quick variant, I'll just deselect the wire here. Yeah, I'm using control click to deselect that. And I might select that other weird little ball crate thing. And you could do like yet another one you could do by just taking this like crosshatch piece here and duplicating that across. Which we might do actually. Yeah, let's just do that. Let's just do that. I think that's all connected. So maybe I think this one, yeah, this one wasn't connected. All right, so quick way to duplicate something, you could obviously right click and go edit, duplicate, or you could just hold down Alt. And if you hold down Alt and then you drag across, you'll see that that's just automatically duplicated that and pulled it off for me. And if it looks different, as it does, that is only because this particular scene used bake lighting. So obviously you've got that error message up here saying lighting needs to be rebuilt. You may or may not be baking lighting for your project, but since you're just grabbing an asset, I don't think you need to worry about that. Now, that being said, I haven't grabbed an asset with baked lighting, changed the lighting, and then did a merge assets before. This is my first time. And I don't know if that's going to change the lighting on the asset or not, so let's find out. Okay, we're going to grab that little piece that we just duplicated. All the buddies around it. I'm just going to grab all of our pieces again. So remember that this has got actually like a couple pieces to it. And we wanted the little guys. Did not want the wires for this one. We want to grab our grates. Okay, cool. Just again, make sure that I've got everything. I'm not missing anything. It looks fine. Cool, and we'll just go once again, the merge actors. And everything's cool. Groovy. Alright, let's go merge actors. Call this version B? 1B? No, 1C. We did 1B already. 1C. And the last thing I want to show you just before we wrap up is how complex you can go with this and some alternative ideas. If merge actors is going to cost you some of the visual elements that you actually want to bring across. Let's just check that out, make sure that it looks good. Hey, nothing wrong with that lighting at all. That's clean, but totally forgot a grate. Gotta do that one over again. Grab the wrong piece and got a chunk of floor instead. Huh, there you go. So always double check your assets before you migrate them to another project. Let's go merge actors one last time. And we can just save over number C. Do 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 do. Bam 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 bam. Alright. Cool. Realize that I have no idea where my phone is. It's in my pocket also. Alright. It's gonna go up on YouTube and people are like, what is going on with this person? Hey! Hello, chat. How are you this morning? You say, gosh, I'm efficient. Tell me about this efficiency. Totally just deselected everything. Alright, so, once again, merge assets, merge actors. Yo, 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 that's right. You can add some, like, you're getting in early on this tasty content before it gets spat out as a video, and which means you can ask questions, which is good. So just as a basic refresher, and this is obviously for anyone who's going to be watching this back again, this is just going over once more what we've done here. So we're creating modular little mini assemblies. So as an example, I've got this modular piece of wall here. Modular in that it's been selected in such a way that you can see how you can easily duplicate this across and create a seamless line of wall pieces. What I've ended up doing is I've ended up selecting a few different things each time. So I've got one totally blank modular wall piece. I've got one with a bit of cute little cabling going on here, and this ball crate guy. I'm not entirely sure what that ball crate would be. Like, is it an eyeball for a mech? Is that what that is? Or is it some sort of gaseous substance and the crate is for easy handling? I don't know. And the last one that we're fixing up, because I made a bit of an error. Oh no, we've already fixed it up. Sweet. Is it's got a couple of balls, and we've moved that little cross-hatching crate down. So we now have 3 variations on the same piece of wall, which can be duplicated around. And the magic of this merge asset tool, the magic of this mini assembly process is, rather than any of these assets sitting in the original asset pack folder, or in disparate places, or, meshes here and a materials there and blah, 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 blah. And of course, every little individual asset has its own materials and blah, blah, blah. And instead of all of that crap, you've got one folder. All of the meshes are one asset, and they have all of their textures have been atlased and combined to one texture, one material, etc., etc. Super easy to migrate to another object. Super easy. So when you've got your little pieces all selected, you would just go right-click, merge actors, and the things that you want to make sure are turned on as a refresher are under LOD selection type. You've got use specific LOD level, because it's normally use all LOD levels. Like, it's going to try and merge every LOD level into one asset. And it's just like, that's a bad time. So turn on use specific LOD level, and then you get the option to turn your merge materials on. At default, texture size is 1024 by 1024. Tiles are below my webcam. Oh, yes. Haha, there we go. Thank you very much for spotting that my merge actors window was behind my webcam. Really appreciate that. First time around that I did this, I had spotted that. Go me. Yay, I'm learning. But apparently I forgot everything because I didn't move that again. Still got a lot to learn. So it comes in as a default texture size. It's usually 1024 by 1024. And all of these are turned off. So the ones I've turned on, when I've set it to 2048 by 2048, because I want you to be able to run up to it and look at it and have decent detail, but not such crazy detail that 4K maps you want to reserve for your hero characters. The normal map, metalness map, roughness map, emissive, and ambient occlusion are all turned on. But I haven't worried about opacity map because I don't want to try and make this a translucent material, and I haven't worried about opacity mask map because I don't want to make this a masked material. But if I were, say, combining like a chain link fence where you had an opacity mask on that texture, I would change this material type to opaque masked, and then make sure obviously that map has been selected in my options. So that's just a heads up if you know that you are creating something that uses a specific blend mode. All right, I'm not going to worry about anything else. Everything else is at default, and I just go merge actors, and then save that in the level where I'm going to be saving all of these little mini assemblies. You could even call this, you could even create a mini assemblies level if you wanted to. Actually, yeah, let's actually just save over that last one so you can see how long it takes. And save. Yep, I'll replace that. Cool. It takes 2 seconds. So like there's it's not a bad idea to maybe even create a mini assemblies folder and chuck all these in. In my case, I've just created a city punk folder because it's just like punky assets from across the city. And that's what's going to translate over when we migrate it. So quick note as well, this merge assets tool works on blueprints. So let's say you've got a blueprint prefab with all of your assets in it, and it's a blueprint prefab that like maybe it was generating splines for you, and you've ended up with all these really cool wires in your scene based on splines, but the nature of the construction scripts in the blueprint, or what, like just how that blueprint is set up, is actually costing you frame rate, and it's actually like, you know, sucking some energy out of your scene. If you're done with it and it should be static, you can actually use this merge assets tool on that blueprint, and it will convert it into one of these little mini assemblies, which is just a static mesh. So I think that's pretty cool. That's one of my favorite aspects of this particular thing. I've used that in past levels where we had spline wires that were generating which were reducing frame rates because it had like yeah, so similar to convert to editable in C4D for spline actor. It's you've got your spline, it's done, you're not generating it anymore, so just convert it into a static mesh. That is exactly the idea. Okay, cool. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I want to show you about that. Well, first of all, I just want to spook the artist who produced this. We are looking at the, you know, if I was a proper profesh streamer or whatever, I'd have this ready loaded. We're looking at the Sci-Fi Kit Bash Level Builder Volume 2, which is just a beautiful kit, absolutely beautiful kit. I've decided what it was else I wanted to show you. So just sort of caveats and things to keep in mind, and a chance to show you another really cool kit. So I'm gonna jump over to, let's go jump over to the Urban Japan kit. I just want to show you an example of what doesn't quite come across well. So when you're gonna want to make maybe a different decision and use a different technique to get your get assets from one pack into your main level. So in this Urban Japan pack, there's this really cool parallax effect where you've got this like fake interior. Now what we're looking at with these windows is we're looking at an illusion. It's not actually, you know, 3D. It's that's like a cube map. We're looking at it. We're looking into a cube map. There's actually if you wanted to learn how to do this, an old colleague, and I don't know if he'd appreciate me spooking him or not, but an old colleague has produced a pretty awesome tutorial on exactly how to do this, which I'll share in the comments if it's cool. But the thing to look up would be like, you know, use a cube map interior. So cube map interior kind of thing. Now, what I wanted to point out is if this is an asset that you want to bring across, that merge assets isn't going to handle those cube maps very well. I'll show you what it actually looks like because I prepared these earlier. So, in fact, specifically this building, if I open that up, you can see what's happened to our cube maps. Our cube maps have become, well, you got this one guy back here, which is like really struggling. Our cube maps have become sort of this like flat emissive texture, and it's got this really interesting striation to it. Now, this is not a big drama if you are going to say be looking at the building from this far away. If this building belongs in the far background, that's not a big deal. But if you're going to be, say, up to here, You could make the argument that we're looking at curtains, but it doesn't look super great. So in this particular case, merge assets might not actually be the solution that you want to go with. What I would recommend instead, if you want to basically maintain the integrity of all of these assets and you're okay with them, like you're okay, the caveat is you can have these assets exactly as you're looking at them, but they are all going to be in another, they're potentially all going to be distributed across their different folders. I'm going to try right now. Let's put a pin on that one and cover it in another stream. But this was a very long-winded now way of talking about the merge assets feature. All of these merged assets that you've created, you can now, of course, grab all of them and go right-click and migrate. Asset actions, migrate to the project of your choice. All right, I'm going to wrap it here. I got things to do, and we'll catch you another time. Chat pod. And chat, thank you so much for joining me.